I just went to California and got some awesome video and checked out some incredible places for today's episode. We've been talking about this one for a few weeks now. Are you ready to see what we found? Welcome to episode 33 of my lunch break. I hope you're all having a great day. And if you're new, welcome. And I want to thank all of our sponsors over on Patreon. Thank you to FlatEarthDave.com. You can check out his app. I'll put the link in the description, and you can use my referral code, MLB. The app is awesome. It shows a lot of videos that are really hard to find. They've got them all in great playlists. He also has my lunch break on the homeschool section of the app, which is really cool. Thank you for that. Thank you to Maddie Kevs, Rebecca K, Michael Hastings, Jason Brunson, Millicent, Christopher Arietta, Don Gaston, and Victor Perez. You guys are all awesome and helping this channel out a lot. And for $19.99 a month, you can also be a sponsor of this channel. I'll put that link right in the description below. Thank you. I have an email that you're going to want to see later in this episode that will give us all 100% proof that these buildings are much older than we're told, and that the millions of people that are researching this topic of the old world are not wrong. I've been looking into Pasadena for a few years now and saw that they have the Rose Bowl Stadium. It was built in 1922, and I started to zoom out on it on Google Earth and saw that there's a huge golf course right next to the stadium. Now, there's a lot of evidence circulating that there are specific golf courses and hotels around the world that are covering the old world's remains. I wouldn't be shocked at all if this area was all old world buildings and completely wiped out and buried. And we now have a golf course sitting on this strange cutout land. The reason I say that is because there are so many old world buildings around this area, and the overall shape of this golf course looks so odd, as if they needed to cover something massive. It was clearly not a massive golf course and a famous stadium to distract people to begin with. The roads were not built around the golf course. The golf course was put into the layout of these roads. A normal golf course has 18 holes. The Brookside Golf Course in Pasadena, California has 36 holes. But of course, this is not your normal golf course. Both the Rose Bowl Stadium and the Brookside Golf Course are owned by the city of Pasadena. This golf course was built in 1928, and the Rose Bowl was built in 1922. So within 6 years, this area of land was covered up. Now, let's begin to show why I'm suspicious of this area. The city of Pasadena is filled with old world buildings, but what could have been here is what I will never stop thinking about. If they allowed this city hall to survive, what could have been here in this location of this massive golf course? Now, let's check out the city hall. When I walked up to it, I couldn't believe how big it was. We have pillars hundreds of feet in the air. They tell us that this was completed in 1927 with a population of about 40,000 people. It's time to construct a massive city hall. One that we definitely don't construct today in 2023. But 100 years ago, this was of course standard procedure to make buildings that blow your mind. Now, I'm not even going to hold back what we're doing today. Right across the street, probably 30 feet away, we have the All Saints Episcopal Church. And this thing is what gives all of this away from me, that these buildings are much older than they tell us. This church was founded in 1882 with a population of around 4,000 people in Pasadena, and half of them being children. They were able to construct this, and it just so happens that the city hall is 30 feet away, right in the backyard. Then we can go right over to the library of Pasadena, where they have some of the most incredible stonework right on the front wall of the entrance. Why is there ancient architecture in Southern California? And why were they building massive public libraries like this in 1882, the exact same year that the All Saints Episcopal Church was founded in? I'm saying founded, but at this point in the research, it was found and repurposed. I just want to clear that up really quick. So we have, let's say, around 1,000 people living here in Pasadena that are able to actually work and construct buildings. How many of them are trained to construct like this? Probably zero. But does that matter to the mainstream narrative? Of course not. So I say around 1,000 people because we have like 4,000 people living here in 1882. Half of them are children. So that brings it down to a 2,000. Then there are people 65 and older. Not saying they can't do it. I'm just saying they may not want to get up on the roof in the 1800s. So we're sitting at around 1,000 people that could have been eligible to possibly construct this thing in this town. 4,000 people do not need this. So that gives it away right there. But let's continue and drive it home even further. Remember, we are told that they were building multiple structures in 1882, and we approved this. So did 500 of them work on one building and 500 of them worked on the other building? And were they all the most incredible construction workers of all time? Is it possible that this is an old world library that was found on December 26th in 1882? Is that possible? I believe it was found. Can we stop for a second and just look at what we're being told? They aren't even giving us construction dates. This isn't 600 years ago. So there isn't any excuse for this. They're just saying they found this building in 1882. Not construction began on this date and ended on this date. None of that. This isn't the only building in the world right here that this has happened to either. We have proven this over and over and over. And if I told you that my house was found in 1882, would you believe me? No, of course not. And you shouldn't. You should always ask questions. You should ask, where did I get the materials? Which construction company did I use? How long did it take me to get the permits? Did you use the taxpayers' money to build it? How many horses did I use to move all these materials? And from where? And why did I need a house that has 18 bedrooms when you're the only one living in the house? Which construction company was making these incredible buildings at the same time? Who trained these workers? Which school did they go to? If you aren't asking these questions, then you're not going to find any answers. And at this point, if they tell us a fake story, we're going to figure it out, and I guarantee it. Should we get back to the proof? This church didn't start on fire or anything, did it? They wouldn't give it all away with a fire story, would they? If you've been here before and seen my previous episodes, here we go. The All Saints Episcopal Church, located in Pasadena, California, has a parish hall. This parish hall suffered extensive damage during 2 separate fires in the exact same year of 1976. 2 fires in the same year? Yeah, this is normal. No, it isn't. A clear attempt to destroy the previous civilization's construction, clearly failing. But the fire addition to the story is key. Whether it happened or not, in this case I would say that it did, but again, it is a fire story. The fire gives it away. When they say that a fire happened 100 years ago, I'm a little skeptical if it actually happened, and that they just throw that in there as code, that this is a building from the past. As for a fire that happened relatively recent, I would say it's also code, but an attempt to destroy the actual building and collect the insurance check. It's better than hiring a bulldozer or a wrecking ball, and then no one ever questions it ever again. They can say that it was a faulty electrical switch, and that's the end of the old world building. Now back over to the Pasadena City Hall. So this place was supposedly cracking and needs to be fixed up in 2004. So they had a group come in and fix it up a little to protect it from earthquakes, which is great. But can we just stop and think for a second? The City Hall has been here for a long time. In my opinion, hundreds of years. California has earthquakes all the time. The building was doing just fine for decades, if not centuries. Did it really need a repair? Or did they want to get rid of something? Now here, this group did the repairs, and they get an award, a golden ticket. Do you normally get golden tickets for renovating a random building from 1927? I think we all know deep down that this thing wasn't really built in 1927. We all know this thing has a deeper history, and you can feel it just by looking at it. And that's why our research is so important. We know that it has a deeper history, and we are taking it a step further. We're investigating and improving that these buildings are from a past civilization that was extremely powerful in every country, with technology that clearly surpasses what we are capable of today. We're giving these buildings the recognition that they deserve. We don't just walk past these buildings. So they tell us that this City Hall was designed by Bakewell and Brown. And if we click on this group, it'll for sure give us a few other buildings that are from the old world. They always use a group like this to explain away like 5 or 10 old world buildings. Here we have the San Francisco City Hall, completed in 1916, of course. Very simple construction in 1916. Just draw it up on a piece of paper in the early 1900s and it'll be right over here forever. Unlike anything we ever do today. This had to have taken 20 to 30 years to build, especially in a time where people were using basic tools that we would laugh at today. What? Wait, this only took 3 years to complete from start to finish? Starting in 1913 and finished right up 3 years later in 1916. This is amazing stuff, especially when he had 2 other projects going on at the same exact time. This is insane. I think if I went back to college history class today it would be comedy hour. Did they think we were never going to find this information? Are you all ready to have some fun? The emails that I mentioned earlier, there are two. The first one is awesome. The second one should open some eyes. Here we go. So I couldn't find any information on these two buildings on the internet, the First Church of Christ Science and the First United Methodist Church of Pasadena. So I emailed them both directly, and what they replied back to me blew my mind. We will start with the email that I sent to the First Church of Christ Science. I asked 3 questions to both places. First, I wanted to know the years of construction. The second question was, which construction company did they use? And the third question I had was, who was the architect? Basic questions for an incredible construction process that was supposedly not that long ago. Are you ready for their answers? This incredible church was constructed in 1 year, from 1909 to 1910, by the incredible Ingstrom Construction Company. The architect was Franklin Burnham. It was built in a single concrete pour. Are you kidding me? Even the individual who messaged me back was surprised, as they replied, quite the feat in 1910. They even sent us a construction photo. The only problem with the construction photo is that it was already constructed and completed. Kind of a major issue for a construction photo, but I do appreciate them trying. After thousands of hours of research and everything that has been shared with me over the years, this thing was already there. Nobody in 1909 or 1910 built this thing. Now let's go to the second email I sent. And this one was sent over to the First United Methodist Church of Pasadena. And remember, these buildings are all in Pasadena, California. They're not thousands of miles away from each other. They're all right next to each other, on the same exact block. I gave them the exact 3 questions. And this one justified everything I've ever said throughout all of my episodes. Are you ready? They replied that this building was also built in 1 year, from 1923 to 1924. They do give us an architect of Thomas Barber, and here it is, and I quote, I am uncertain which construction company built the church. The church itself doesn't know who built it. They don't know how it got here. This is as clear as it gets, that these buildings are from the old world. I am uncertain who built this 99 years ago. This is not 400 years ago. I believe that we have just found possibly the biggest bombshell exposure on this topic so far, or at least right up there. The church has no idea who built their own building? This is incredible stuff. Groundbreaking, to say the least. This is no longer some crazy theory. This is hard proof that we are correct. This is legitimate evidence that these places are built by a past civilization. I believe that these other construction companies and architects that we are given are characters. They're make-believe. They're front people for a much deeper and much more incredible historical story. A hidden past, possibly our hidden past, one that we deserve to know about, since this is our home. We live here, and we deserve to know the truth about where we are and what has happened here before us. This trip to Pasadena was incredible. I loved walking around checking out all these buildings. It's one thing to see them on Google Earth, but standing there in front of them is just incredible. You honestly can feel a cool energy just standing there next to these places. Even the people that I brought with me said the same thing. The perfection that they used to build with is something that gives us insight to the past civilization and what they could have been capable of. I think that they had incredible natural healing powers. They cared about their buildings, their communities, their people. Something that we haven't been given in our lifetimes. In my opinion, this is all changing in a positive way for us. We are taking back this knowledge, learning about these kinds of things, sharing valuable information again with each other, with a click of a button, all over the world. Something that we haven't been able to do for decades. Until now. Don't forget that there are a bunch of brand new t-shirts. You can find that right below this video. Every purchase really helps support the channel and goes towards more boots on the ground work. Liking this video and commenting helps to share this video with new people, as well as when you subscribe to the channel. I couldn't be more thankful for all the support you guys give. Our Twitter account is up and running, and we are over on Rumble as well. Both of those links will be in the description below. If you have anything to add, or any thoughts on the video, or have any ideas for future videos, just put that in the comments below. Thank you all for your support, and I hope you all have a great day. I will be back very soon with much more. See ya.
Don't trust what you see. Don't listen to your senses. Trust what you are told.
Whoa.